Smart Menu 2.0, this tool right here is officially released today. And as always, if you have purchased Smart Menu or Smart Tools bundle from us, then you automatically get this tool for free. We do have free upgrades. You just need to go to ucromedia.com, re-log in, re-download, and reinstall, and you should be good to go. And by the way, in the previous video of this channel, I did go over all the new features that I was adding into Smart Menu 2.0, and you can learn by watching that video, and you can do so by going to the top right corner, click on that link there, or in the description of this video, I'm sure there'll be a link to it. So you can click on it, check it out. I go in pretty good details about what each feature does. So check it out and then come back to this video. But in this video, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to create a Mogrts from scratch. I'll show you the whole process. I'll do it live, not necessarily live, but I'm not gonna do any editing. So you'll see all of my steps, how I do things. And I'm gonna use Smart Menu and also another tool that I created called Smart Text. So that's what I'm gonna use in this video, but let me show you the Mogrts that we're gonna be creating. So we have two shots in Premiere, and I wanna have some kind of transition. So that's what that Mogrts is gonna be. It's gonna be a transition. And I mean, Winter Olympics are coming up, so this is appropriate for sure. So we have this Mogrts called Wipe. I'm gonna bring this in, position it right here. And again, this Mogrts basically is a wipe, and it kind of goes from one to the other. So it kind of helps us to transition to this clip. But this Mogrts has like a team name and team colors, team flag or logo. You can put anything you want in there. And yeah, and if you are a subscriber to this channel, you've seen this before because it's actually a project that I created in Blender. And I do have a time lapse. So I'm not gonna be recreating this in this tutorial, but essentially what I did, I created this and posted a time lapse. So you can check out a time lapse of this, basically like a quick tutorial, and you can do so by clicking on the icon in the top right corner, or by going in the description of this video and clicking on the link there. And you'll see a quick time lapse how I created this. All the steps are gonna be there. And also in that video, there is a link to a free project file. So this is a Blender. It's a free software, so you can download Blender for free. You can download that project file and you can edit it, put your own logos in there, or your own colors, whatever you want to do, and essentially use it in paid or free projects. So go nuts with that. But that's what I used in this video. I basically separated everything, the background, and each team I created renders. Now there are plugins in After Effects that you can basically export like the UV of this shape, and you can replace things inside of this in After Effects without like making separate renders. But I didn't do that, so I just made my own renders because it was quicker that way, so I just went that way. And that's what I did. I took this project, I separated everything, and let me show you, let me actually close this, and let me show you how to do this from scratch. So we're gonna go to After Effects, and I'm gonna walk you through all the steps. Okay, the first thing I wanna do, I wanna bring in all that footage that I rendered out of Blender. So we're gonna double click in the project panel, we're gonna bring them in here. Let's import them, and right away, we'll do some housekeeping. We're gonna move it into a new folder. We're gonna call this one 02_assets. And inside here, we have background footage. So I'm gonna put it into a background folder. And we also have the logos. So we're gonna put it into a logos folder. And then in here, let me kind of walk you through what they are. So we do have a background footage. So as you can see, if I kind of walk through it, it's just background by itself. That's all that is. We're gonna use it. It doesn't have any color. We're gonna apply it later. And we do have a matte of the inside. So anything black will be alpha channel. And then basically it's gonna help us to merge into that world and then come out of it later. So that's the alpha channel for the background. And then we have logos here. So each logo, for example, this Iceland logo, but notice it doesn't have the alpha channel because it's a small file, it's MP4, and it doesn't have alpha channel. But I want it to be that way because I want it to be tiny because it's gonna be a Mogrts. So I don't wanna create like animation codecs to basically export as a Mogrts. So that would take me forever, or it would create a very big file. So instead, I do have the alpha channel for the logo. So we do have an alpha channel, and since they're all identical, I'm just gonna use it for all of them. So again, wherever there's black, it's gonna be alpha, whereas white is gonna be basically visible. And that's what it is. So let's do that right now. Let's set up the logo first. I'm gonna select the logos that I want. And I'm gonna ignore the matte for right now, and I'm gonna move it into a new composition. And here it is, it's a new composition. We're gonna call this one logo. And I'm gonna move it out of the assets folder. We're gonna bring it into a new folder. We're gonna call it 01_comps. And in here, we have it there. So that's good. We have the logos and they're all together. So they're all visible, but obviously we need to bring in the Luma matte and bring that right above. Make sure I select this right above here. And we're gonna set it to stencil Luma. And essentially it will kind of create alpha channel for us. So as you can see, we can solo it. So right now, let's solo the Netherlands. So as you can see, it's working. That's exactly what I want out of this. And so the next thing I want to do is start creating controls to where maybe like a control layer that we can have a drop-down menu on, and we can easily kind of switch between different teams. So that's usually what I do. I create a new shape layer, and we're going to call this one controls. And I'm going to put it right underneath here, logo matte. So you can even parent it to it. You can do whatever you want. So that, you can even make it into a guide layer. So this is controls layer, and you can make it yellow, these blue. You can do whatever you want to make things look easy. Okay, so with something like this is good. Now, obviously this will be like a null layer. That's where we're going to create the drop down menu. So it doesn't have anything there yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually use Smart Menu 2.0. And again, I'm going to use it quickly, but you can, again, watch the video I mentioned in the beginning of the video to kind of see what everything does here. But I'm going to select the order of basically the order selection is very important. So how you select your layers is how it's going to create the drop down menu. And if you selected the first item, it's going to be the first item on the list in the drop down menu and so on. So the way you select it is very important. So I made my selection and I haven't selected the controls layer yet. So I made my selection. I want to bring this in and put it into here and maybe alter it a bit more. So these are the names. It takes the names of your selected layers. Notice I do have MP4, which is a file extension. So by default, I have extension selected, which means that it will automatically remove it, which is super helpful. And then I do have none selected, and essentially it will add my first item in the drop-down menu will be none, so I can turn it off. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it into this area, which is a new feature in the Smart Menu 2.0. So I'm going to pull it in, boom. And as you can see, it took this, pulled it in here, and notice extensions are gone, which is super awesome. So in here, I can edit this. I can say United States. And as you can see, I want to quickly update this to uppercase. So I can say uppercase update, and that's what it will update for. You can say lowercase update, it will update it. You can say title case update. So that's what these are for. Okay, I'm actually gonna make it all uppercase. So once I've adjusted mine, so you can either use this and create a drop-down menu, or you can do it based on just selection only. So if you don't have anything typed, it will only go by what you have here. But if you do have things typed, it's gonna create a drop-down menu based on these. So I made my selection, that's good. I still have it selected. And then I'm gonna press Control Select Controls. So the last layer you select is the layer that it's gonna create the drop-down menu and all the other options too. So that's very important. The last layer you select is the layer that it's gonna create things on. So make your selection, you can alter it, and then the last layer you select, that's where it's gonna create. I wanna make sure I make that clear, and I think I have. So I made my selection, and then I'm gonna activate the visibility function. Basically, that's what's gonna allow us to only show the things that we pick from the drop-down menu. And it's basically gonna apply an expression to the opacity of all my selected layers. Then I have color option, which we'll talk about that here shortly. Text option is gonna create a guide text layer, which essentially, it's just a reference tool that will allow us to kind of use the name of that guide layer to use it in other layers. I mean, I know it sounds complex, but you'll see here in a second. And then we also have Essential Graphics feature here. And what that means, it's going to create all the controls. And as it creates it, will also send them to the Essential Graphics panel here that we can use as a template in other compositions. All right, I know I kind of threw a lot at you, but let me show you how it runs. So once you've made all that, you can change the name of your drop-down menu. I'm gonna say logo. And after this, you have your selection, all that's activated. You can just run it, and instantly, it saves you so much time. All the things that I had to set up by hand constantly, like code and bring all this stuff in, it does it automatically. So for example, as you can see, we have all this extra stuff. So I'm gonna hide some of these things. And by the way, you might be wondering, like, why don't you clean this up, create a custom pseudo effect? Well, I try to stay away from the custom pseudo effect. I only want to use the tools that are only available in After Effects because for a lot of reasons, but for one main reason, because I worked at the different shops and I do stuff with Fox Sports, and anytime I go to their place, it seems like it's always a struggle to install a script with any big places because you have to go through IT and it's just a lot of steps to install it. You permission issues, but with this one, you don't have to have any permission issues. I mean, it just uses what After Effects already has. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't, but I might add that in later. So we have colors for each team. We have the drop-down menu, and as you can see, created exactly how we selected it, which is perfect. And we do have none as the first option, just like I mentioned here. So I can say Netherlands, and look, right away, it will show me Netherlands. It will, let me show you the opacity. It makes everything else 0 on the opacity. So if I say Ukraine, as you can see, Ukraine is fully visible, but then everything else is hidden. So that's the visibility. Then we have the color, which is right here. We have color 1, 2, 3. So what that means, each team that you selected, or each layer that you selected, has 3 different colors. And you can custom select them. So for example, let me do this. So maybe something like this. I have Iceland. Let's double click on it first. Let's quickly set this up. So I'm going to say color 1. It can be like primary color, secondary color. So primary color for color 1 will be the bright color. Color 2 will be darker color. And color 3, I'm just going to set it to black. I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to double click the same thing for Netherlands. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's do red and then blue for the second color. So it does take some time to set this up. But once you have it set up, it's going to save you a lot of time. And you can always come back and edit things. So I'm going to set this one to yellow for Spain and red and then blue or black. And again, the color option is only available because we had this feature selected when we ran it. So then we have Ukraine, the same thing. Let's do yellow. Let's do blue and black for the third color. And then the last one here, we have US, that's the country that I live in. By the way, Ukraine was the country that I was born in. I was born in Kiev, Ukraine, but I live in US now, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I do love both countries. So let's see, we have red, we have blue, and black. So once you've made your options, perfect, then you can quickly go over here. And if you select Iceland, notice the colors adjust here. And for example, let's do Ukraine. As you can see, we have yellow as the first color. And based on what team you select, Iceland, you will always have the colors here that you can use in expressions and things of that nature. You'll see here shortly how powerful that is. Okay, so I've set everything up, but not only that, we do have this list here. And let me go back to the composition here. Where is it at? Yeah, there you go. So as you can see at the top here, we have basically it's a guide text layer that you can't see in the final render, but it does live here, and it's a reference, and it's also brought into the essential graphics. We have this list that we can reference in the other compositions, and this comes in very handy. Again, you'll see here in a second, and it's all because we activated this text. So it basically gives us the name of our item that we pick, and this name we can use in other compositions. Okay, so we've created this composition. It's fully rigged. As you can see, we've exported all of these options into the essential graphics that we can use in other compositions. And here's what I mean by that. So for example, if I select this logo and move it into a new composition, and let's call this composition wipe. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and let me hide this right now. So as you can see, we have this new composition. I'm gonna get rid of alpha channel for right now. So we have this logo that we rigged, and because we rigged it, it's like a template. So I can go to the essential graphics here. I have all of my options in here. I can say Spain, it will automatically show me Spain. And I mean, it is a template. What I mean by a template, you can have multiple ones here. Even though we're using one comp, we can do things different to each layer because it becomes like a template. So that's what I mean by template. So let me undo this real quick. So we have all of these options that we're definitely going to use. So let's do this. We're going to probably just hide. Let's do color 2. And it's so hard to see because I have my mic here. So color 2, color 1, and let's do the list and the logo. I'm going to hit S to solo this. So we're going to have this. I'm going to scale some stuff. I realize I moved things around. All right, so we have this available. We have all these options. I'm going to go back into this and select this controls layer. We're going to copy it, paste it in here, because here's what I want. I want to select these, delete this. I do want to have my drop down menu because I want to link this menu to this drop down menu, because you can't really move this into an essential graphics panel anymore. You can't, it just won't allow you. So what you do, you just basically link it up to this drop down menu and you're good to go. So now you can choose things in here and you're good to go. And you can actually move this into an essential graphics panel, which we'll do that later, but I just want to show you that's why I made that step. So now we have the ability to control it from here. We have the list. We can instantly adjust things, but we're going to build up on that. So now we're going to do this. We're going to bring in a background footage. So let's go back here, background. We have the background. We're going to put it right underneath there. So as you can see, background is working. We're going to bring in the alpha. So right above the background, we're going to use Luma Matte, and essentially it will cut, basically give us an alpha channel. So it's going to wipe from nothing into that world and we're good. And then it comes out. So that's what this matte is for. What else can we do to this? Now, obviously I want to create different colors for this background. So we're going to go to the effects panel here. We're going to search for fill and we're going to apply it to our background footage here. Now, obviously it covers it, but we're going to call this one color. And I'm going to make it visible in the timeline. Have to go look around my mic here. And we're going to solo this. We're going to link this color up to the second color of our team. So it doesn't matter what team we pick. For example, if I pick Netherlands, it will change the color to Netherlands because we're using that as an information. And that's how powerful that is. I mean, you can instantly go to Iceland, it will change it. Ukraine, it will change it, and so on. So that's why it's so powerful. So now we don't have to worry about changing the color ourselves. It will do it automatically based on our selection. Now, the problem is we lost our background because it's a full, like a solid color, and we do want to see our background here. So we're going to use a CC composite effect, and we'll say multiply. Boom, it will basically multiply that color. And there you go, easy fix. So you don't have to create a new shape layer or solid layer, or it's all within that one layer because of the CC composite. It's a very powerful plugin. I use it quite often. So that's it for the background. As you can see, it's pretty powerful. You can set it to Netherlands. It already adjusted it. And at this point, you can just call it done. You can export this as a Mogrt, but we're not done yet. We're actually going to add text. So we're going to do this. We're going to bring in text. We're going to say Ukraine Media, and let's make sure we can see it. So as you can see, yeah, it basically has only stroke, but there's no size here. But I'm going to actually set it to 0 because I'm going to set everything to 0 because I'm going to control it with the a script that I wrote called Smart Text. I'm going to basically activate the stroke and the fill and tracking, and I'll say we're going to select this text. Let's call this one title, and we're going to run this. So those features are going to be activated, and as you can see, basically the character panel right here will be, this will override the character panel. So when you select this, we have options in here like the color options. We can set the fill color to whatever color we want, and also the stroke color to whatever color we want. We can turn off the fill, and now we have the stroke. We can adjust the stroke width. So this comes in very handy. And also we have tracking, so we can adjust that on the fly as well. So we're going to use all of that in here. So I'm going to set it to 100 for right now. And all right, so let's go to the top, get rid of the alpha channel so we can see what we're doing here. I'm going to select the text, press Control-Alt-Home, and then Control-Home to center the text. So I do want to have it centered, and that's good. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some animation. I'm going to make this text probably about 10 seconds long. So boom, and then goes away. But then we're going to do this. We're going to press E to see our effect. We have all of them in here. So I'm going to do some cleanup here. So we're going to have tracking. I'm going to select tracking and also fill, color, stroke. So those are the things I want. And then I'm going to hit S twice to solo them. And that's easy. So then I will do this. I'm going to set the keyframes for fill and stroke. And we're going to tell it to be that at first. So the stroke. Then we're going to go page down twice to go down 2 frames. So we're going to reverse it. So then it's going to be fill only. Then page down twice again, reverse it. Then it's going to be stroke, page down again, then again reverse it. I know it's repetitive. And then last one, we're going to do stroke. So essentially it's going to be something like this. Yeah, that simple, nothing crazy. Now I do want the fill color to be the color, the first color of our Mogrot here. So, or the color 1. So I'm gonna just pick whip to color 1 and that's it. So something like this would be good. So as you can see, it's very it's adjusting to the name of the team. So if you do this, and maybe you can set the, I'm gonna put this underneath the control. So we're gonna go to controls here and change it to Spain. And notice now it has Spanish color, yellow. There you go, and it will adjust. Now I also want to do the same thing for the name of the team. Now remember, in this comp, we have this layer that gives us the name of our team, and we did put it into our essential graphics. So it is the list. It's right here, it's referencing that. Okay, so what that means in this composition, I have to look around my mic here, it's kind of hard to see. So in this, we have the list. And what we do essentially, because I'm gonna select this. By the way, before I do that, actually, let me do some tracking animation. I'm gonna set it at frame 0 to 0, and then we're gonna go to frame 10, or 10 second, oh yeah, frame 10. There you go. We're gonna set this to 100. And essentially we have like some tracking animation as well with it. So like that, as you can see, boom, that's perfect. All right, so I'm done with that. Next, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select the type tool, Control T, basically the type tool. If you select the text layer and right click and click on Reveal Source Text and Timeline, you'll see the source text. Now, the Smart Text does create an expression here, but what I wanna do, I want to set the text, set text to the text, the list text, basically. I'm gonna pick whip down to the list like this, and automatically now you'll see that it will pick up the list. So now, as you can see, we pick Spain, we have Spain written. So it doesn't matter what team you pick, let's say Ukraine, it will automatically adjust to that. So that's why the text, the guide layer that I created, that's why it's so powerful, because it gives you a lot of control. So as you can see, instantly Ukraine, we can say Netherlands, and there you go. I mean, that's pretty quick. So really, I mean, at this point, you're done. That could be a Mogrot, and I know it took me a while because to kind of talk you through it, but if I don't have to explain this, I can just fly through it. That's why I created this tool, because I walked through the same steps over and over again, and that's when I realized it's time for me to create a tool. So let's do some final touches here. So I mean, that's really it. That's the Mogrot, and let's take the transparency. So we'll have the footage here behind it. So you'll see the footage. It will introduce into this world. It'll come out. Let's see, what else can we do here? So we do need to export it as a Mogrot. So we already have everything set up, the list, the logo. So I'm going to hide this. We don't need any of that. That's good. And at this point, I'm just going to right click here, go to the Open in Essential Graphics. And this is essentially where we create Mogrot. So that's where anything we drag into this, that's what editors will be able to adjust in Premiere. So we're gonna call the Mogrot, let's do wipe, and we're gonna snap a picture of it. Let's take it to US, United States, and we're gonna snap a picture of that as our thumbnail. So let's set poster time, boom, just like that. It will take a second to show up. There you go, now we have it done. And then the last thing you wanna drag into this is this menu. And you can call it anything you want. I'm just gonna call it logo. And again, those are the things that editors can change in Premiere. And so the next step after this is to export motion graphics template. So you click on that. Do you wanna save it? I'm gonna say yes. Then it's gonna walk you through all the steps. It's gonna collect everything. And then you have to tell it where you want it to be exported. In my case, I'm gonna export it into this folder that I already have Mogrot in here. So I'm gonna delete this one. And I'm gonna save this new one. Yes, replace it. Okay, and so it'll take a second. As you can see, that's how quickly it is to export it. Now we're gonna go to Premiere. I'm gonna delete this, and I'm also gonna delete the old one. So we're gonna delete that, grab the Mogrot and drop it into the Essential Graphics panel. And in Premiere, I mean, it'll take seconds to show up. As you can see, it's almost there. There it is. It's already here. And at this point, you just drag it in like this. That's good. It takes a second or so to show up, and that's why I use I compress my footage as much as possible. You want to make your Mogrot very, very small, and then as you can see, in no time we have a Mogrot now. We can select this, and this is what we just created. So we can say Spain, And there you go, Spain. And there's that. That's how easy it is to create this. All right, well, that's the end of this video. I want to thank you for watching it. And as always, I want to thank you for your support. We wouldn't be able to do what we do here at Media if it wasn't for awesome people like you. So thank you. My name is Sergey Prakhnevsky, and this is ucramedia.com.